Hello,
Oh, hello.
I'm Sammy,
And I'm Steve.
and you're listening to Rose Plate Special, the most dramatic, dev doggingest, run clubbingest, weird grocery storingest recap podcast of The Bachelorette ever.
Ever.
And seriously, where did Dev Dog come from? I never heard that on the show. I'm like,
Mm-mm.
there's a whole behind the scenes rich world where Devin is called. Like at first I thought she said the wrong name. I had to
Yeah.
rewind twice
Yeah.
just to make sure that she said Dev Dog.
It was odd,
I was like,
to
this is
say
a
the
bad
least.
name. um, also,
Whatever, Sam Dog.
yeah. Listen, I've had every nickname. Like, you
Mhm.
can't give me I'm sure you could give me a nickname that I've never had. But like Sam is like a name that is just everybody calls you something different and they just go, "This is what I'm going to call you." It's not like like can I call you this? It's like I'm going to call you Sandwich. I'm going to call you Samsonite. I'm going to call, whatever.
But don't call her Samantha.
No, it's weird. One of my clients said that because through one of the places where I get business, I have to
Mm.
put like my full legal name. So the people who meet me on there like tend to say Samantha, even though I put Sammy on everything and it's on my Zoom and whatever. So it's not like malicious or
Yeah.
anything. And I tell them early on, like, just call me Sammy. But it's like I a lot of people I work with will like interchangeably say Sammy, Samantha, and Sam.
Mhm.
And that's just like that's level 1 of the things of the nicknames I've been given because those are just like variations on my name. But like
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of Samwise. It kind of depends on like if you ever watched Everything is Illuminated,
Mhm.
Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah, that was, like, a big one when that movie came out. So, yeah, I don't know what it is. So, but Dev Dog, that's an interesting one.
Mhm.
And that's the
Mhm.
only weird thing about Devin. Nothing else. Nothing else.
Well,
No red flags at all. I'm not worried about him at all.
I
Why are you looking so concerned?
this first of all, I just want to say they show up in Houston in a park. And, every hometown, you meet the family, but you also do an activity. And that
Right.
activity usually ties back to like, here's what I like to do when
Mhm.
I'm at home. And Devin's activity was running. And all I could think was if I showed up for a date and the date was go run around, instant cut. See you
You'd
later.
be
Let
like,
me let me
"Bye."
walk you to your car. No, thank you. Uh also, and I don't know if he was coached by producers or what, but the fact that he spent a significant amount of time and he was just like, "I don't know, man, my family. I'm just worried about you meeting my family. My family." And he has the most normal ass family
Yeah.
I have ever seen. Think of some of the families we have seen on this show.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. This is like, yeah, you have a real milk toast family. Well, my parents got divorced. So now I got a stepdad, and his name's like Bill or something. It's horrible. My life's, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Get a
Yeah.
normal family. This is every family in America. Devin.
Yeah, it seemed pretty normal. Oh, first off, okay, I have a couple notes. Number 1, uh, the Run Club is giving me very much Yes Man.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Jim
much
Carrey.
yeah, yeah, because isn't that's like one of the things he says yes to is like doing a
Yeah.
Run Club.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Reese Darby is just I mean, he's a treasure and everything, but he's such a treasure in that movie. What
Mm-hmm.
an amazing role for Reese Darby. Anyway, also, yeah, the family stuff is very, very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want it to be on record somewhere that Tuck did not know the term milk toast
Oh.
until yesterday. I used the word milk toast about something. I don't remember what it was. And he looked at me and went, "What?" And I was like, milk toast. And he's like, "I don't know what that is." And I was like, "I'm sorry. You've been alive for how long? And you've never heard the term milk toast?" And
That's
like,
okay.
there's always things like that. There's like little sayings, and he's just like, "I've never heard of that." And I'm like, "I just don't know how you don't run into that."
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There was, like, another oh gosh, now I can't remember what it was, of course, when I'm on the spot. There was, like, another thing where he said something, like, slightly altered, and I was like, "You know, it's this, right? It's not this." And he goes, I mean, not as bad as my ex saying Neapolitan complex when he meant Napoleon complex. I mean, nowhere near that bad. It was like one of those things you could mishear, and it's like, like a D instead of a B or something like that, and I was like,
I
"Yeah,
I
it's this."
like I like the idea of a Neapolitan complex, though. Like,
Yeah.
he has, like, 3 distinct personalities?
Mhm. Well, that tracks. But yeah, no, he told he this I should have never gotten involved because this was like when we first started like kind of talking, and he said that I
Mhm.
had a Neapolitan complex. Me? And I was like, "You mean Napoleon complex?" Also, yeah, of course I do. Hello. I'm 4'11", and
Yeah.
I need to have a big personality, but I was just like, "What the hell?" Like, anyway, that should so many red flags I ignored, just like Jen's ignoring red flags in a lot of these relationships. Look at how I
Mm.
transitioned
Good
that.
transition.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was because he was like, yeah, I said, time with the unconventional, untraditional, potentially conspiratorial family. I don't know. There's some rumors. There's
Oh,
some
boy.
rumors that, that Devin said some slurs. I don't think those are rumors. I think those are documented on Twitter. Or
Yeah.
no, in his songs, because he's also a rapper.
Yep. Yep.
Everyone,
Which is the
that's
the
the thing.
reddest of red flags, I have to
Mhm.
say. Like,
Yeah.
this is you can't get away from that. Uh, Slurs, I'm not surprised. Like, I mean, his whole thing is like, I'm from Texas and I run a trucking company,
Mhm.
which, I mean, maybe you're a dyed-in-the-wool socialist and just a beautiful, kind-hearted man, but statistically,
Yeah, it's not looking great. It's not looking great.
no.
Yeah, like there are a lot of things about Devin that separately could be totally fine, but in combination are bad. I think that's really
Mhm.
the conclusion that I've come to. My favorite part about the beginning of the Houston shot is that's basically the photo that I use like every time I have to cover Houston for like a
Mhm.
client. Because a lot of the stuff is done in Houston for one of my clients, and so it's always in that park with that skyline exactly framed the way that they did, like, the opening shot, and I was like,
There you go. That's
there
the
you
best
go.
shot of
That's
Houston.
that's the shot. It's a good one. It's a good one. The park is nice, so I just thought it was funny that they were in there. Um, but yeah, like the parent stuff, I didn't have a lot of notes for any of these. I mean, I was on a walk and I was thinking about how we've had so many like the days of the weird hometowns, I feel like are completely over. Maybe not,
Yeah.
but like what's the last weird hometown we had? Dean?
Yeah. And
Like
Dean's
I
was,
can't think
like,
of
the
one.
weirdest. That's like
Mhm.
Mount Rushmore hometowns for me. That it's so good.
That
And
one and,
part of
like,
it
that
is
bird funeral. Those 2 were my
oh, yeah,
favorite
bird
ones.
funeral's a good one
Your
too.
bird funeral was, like, top tier family because they seemed really nice. I actually probably would wanna hang out with them, but I'm like,
Mhm.
"Why did you choose to do a bird funeral at this hometown? That's
Yeah.
wild." Yeah.
Well, it's just like, I don't know. In order to get to hometowns and it just this is just the nature of where the show is headed. Like, we've talked about this before, they're not bringing in anyone from the outside. Like, everything is
Right.
so carefully curated, and there's this incestuous element because, a person from The Bachelor is just going to or, gonna be the next Bachelorette or vice versa and all this. And so you have all these different things, and so everything gets more and more generic, and then
Mm.
so by the time you get to hometowns, you have 4 pretty normal, well-adjusted people.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wild. With the exception of the rare instances where maybe the apple was lucky enough to fall a little farther from the tree.
Yeah.
In the
Or
case of
it
Dean.
well, or it
I
just
mean,
takes a
Dean's
little while.
weird, but,
Yeah.
like, his dad is that's a
Yeah.
whole 'nother
Dean's
level.
van life weird, which is kind of I mean, it's becoming more normal,
Mhm.
and, I mean, I still can't believe how all that stuff turned out, but, yeah, his dad is, like yeah,
Mhm.
neglectorino weird, it's just
Yeah.
not very good. So, anyway, yeah. Also, Devin's dad looks so much like him.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, "Wow, spitting image." That was really I always like to see like who looks like whomst, and sometimes it's like a good split. But anyway, he looks so much like his dad. Um, and Okay, yeah. So basically, one of the things that might show up next week, I would assume, this felt like foreshadowing, is when he's
Mhm.
talking to his family, he says he wants to know that he's the only one when he says he loves Jen, that he wants to know that he's the only one that she'll say that to. And he's like hesitant to say it, in any other way, even though he kind of like accidentally said it with the run club and stuff like that, or that she
Yeah.
loves me, or which I thought was kind of a funny slip.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
and
yeah,
then he says, I mean, he said it again. I don't know what he did. The run club thing, and then at the end of like the parent thing, he does it, and it's just
Well,
like,
he said, like, falling for each other to his mom, and he said love to his mom, but he's scared to tell her. But then
mhm.
outside of the house, yeah, okay, yeah, he does say, like, falling in love, I think, but not
Yeah,
love, right? We
yeah.
need the chart, we need the chart.
We need
We're
the
gonna get
chart.
we're gonna
We got to
get
get
it.
the flow chart.
I will do craft time after the season's over. But then she said she's falling so hard and her feelings have grown exponentially and that he doesn't seem real.
I think he's like the most normal dude. I mean,
Yeah.
in the sense that most of the time when someone is on this show, and I've said this before, it's like this is the type of person who would never give me the time of day, let
Mhm.
alone go on a date with me. Like they're just like ridiculously beautiful. And Devin looks like just a guy. He just looks like a
He
guy,
does look like just a guy. Yeah.
just a dude,
It's
and that's fine. But
yeah. Yeah, I feel like I mean, I don't doubt that he is interested. There's like, Reddit comments that will beg to differ, but I actually do think he is very interested and he is laser focused.
oh yeah,
Um, and I don't have to like his ideas.
or his rap albums.
Mm-mm. I don't have to. Jen has to. I don't have
Mhm.
to. So that's all I'll say
How disappointing
about
would
that.
that be if, like, you proposed to someone and they said yes, and then later you found out they were a rapper?
Yeah, that would be really disappointing. There was actually this did not get that far, but there was like a guy. This was, when I was like on Tinder and I would share all my stories with you and you were like, "Oh, do tell. I want to hear
Mhm.
more." But there was like this one guy, it never got past like the talking stage, but I thought he was like kind of cute and I thought what he said was kind of funny because he said like why does everybody say that they want to go on adventures? What are you like Dora the Explorer? And I thought that that was like very funny. Now it could be a
Mhm.
joke other people use, but I was like that's funny. And so I started chatting with him and then I found his like YouTube videos of his like music career and it was so bad that I was like, I can't talk to this guy. I don't like his music,
Yeah.
versus my now husband, I was a legitimate fan of his band. And I
Mhm.
like years before we ever dated, I would go and I also opened for them, just saying. But I like would go see them, go out of my way to go see them. And I also was a fan of some of his logos. And I was like, "Oh my god, like you made this? This is so
Mhm.
cool." And I'm like, and I'll put that in cards and stuff. I'll be like, "I love that I'm like an actual fan of yours. Like that's so fun." But if his design work was like shitty, oh my
Yep, then you
gosh.
got a
Like
problem.
if
You
he
got a
was like,
problem.
"Let me now that we're married, let me show you my portfolio." And it's like bad, and he thinks it's like amazing. I'd be like, "Oh, I don't think I can do this. Can we do an annulment? What's going on?" That would be really, really hard for me to take. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, Jen is maybe stronger than I am, but I did not listen to any of Devin's music because I didn't want to hurt myself. So, did you?
I didn't, but I think, you know what, for the good of the order here, I will do my homework and I will listen to
Okay.
Devin's music.
Okay, great. I'll be on vacation. You listen to Devin's music.
Yeah, that's the anti-vacation.
Yeah, that's the anti-vacation, so you can do that. But yeah, totally normal date. And okay, then we get to Jeremy's date in Connecticut. And did you ever have animatronics in one of your grocery stores growing up? I need to know.
No, but this is a very famous grocery store that
Okay,
he's at. Like, it's
that makes
known for
sense.
this goofball shit.
That's fun. I
Um,
mean, that's the only place I would shop. Yeah, I think
yeah.
you know that.
I do think it's weird because it is like a famous grocery store for that
Hmm.
reason because it's like kooky or whatever. But the idea that his date is we went to the grocery store, and
There
this
always
is
has to be like the normal people, right? I don't know.
I don't know, like, I feel like when you go like I said before, like, when you go and you do your hometown, the ideal hometown date is you show someone, like, your city and what you love. Like, it's like you get to give them a piece of, like, who you are back
Mhm.
home, and then they meet the family, and that's how it works. And so, with Devin, his thing is, "I do run club," which is, like, lame, but I guess it works. And then we get to Jeremy in this grocery store, like, "What is your activity?" Like, what do I do when I'm back home? I grocery shop? Yeah, we all do. I mean, I don't understand.
Wow. Wow. I will say between a run club and a grocery store, I'm gonna pick a grocery store
Oh, I'm still
anytime.
picking the grocery store
Yeah.
10 times out of 10, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't
Maybe they
fit the
did
mold,
something else? Question mark.
and they just didn't show it.
I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
weird.
But, like, I was trying to find, like, some other footage. When I was growing up, I wanna say, and my parents can probably confirm this, so I will circle back once my mom watches this episode. Hi, mom. Um, that Piggly Wiggly, I think it was growing up, had one of those cows.
Ooh,
Had one of those animatronic cows that, like, came out of the whatever. Like, I
that's
remember
cool.
that. Yeah.
I want
Um,
the singing avocados just to put on my wall back here, like
yeah, those seem like newer. Cause wasn't
Mhm.
that part of, like, a ad campaign that came out not that long ago?
I have no idea, I just love it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. I really, really dig it. But, I'm like an animatronic girly because, I worked at Chuck E. Cheese.
Mhm.
And yeah, that now I wasn't at the Chuck E. Cheese that had all the animatronics. Cause there's like that one Chuck E. Cheese that had the entire band. But by the
Oh,
time
yeah.
I came around, it was just Chucky in the middle.
That's it?
Yeah, yeah. So there was like a screen. So there were three Chuck E. Cheeses in my area and
Okay.
one of them had the full band, but it also was, like, the worst of everything. So
Mhm.
there was, like we were smack dab in the middle. There was one Chuck E. Cheese that got all the new toys, had the best salad bar layout. I don't know why I feel so passionate about this still now, but anyway, I do because I loved working there. I loved every minute of it. I'm not even kidding. But you have to, because otherwise you'll just lose your mind. So it's like one of my managers said, "In 2 months, you either," and these were his words, he said, "You either go insane or you just, like, and quit, or, like, you go insane and you're, like, on board." You drink the Flavor Aid and, and you're
Mhm.
in. You're just in and you're in for whatever comes. And I'm like, that
Mhm.
was me. I was just like, yeah, I love hearing the same music every 90 minutes. It's my favorite thing. Um, but there was like the Chuck E. Cheese that had all the best games and the best layout and the best everything. And then we would inherit their stuff. So
Okay.
we were like next in line for that. And then the third Chuck E. Cheese got our handoffs. So this was, like,
Oh, so they
old
were
stuff. Yeah, and they had, like, the full band, but
Mhm.
we had a newer animatronic, which was, like, a more expressive Chucky, and it was, like, it kind of was, like, kinda cut off at the chest or the waist or something like that, and there
Yeah.
was, like, a rounded thing that he was standing in, and then there was a screen next to him that would open, and the rest of the band was on the screen. So he would be, like, talking to his friends on screen.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
like that. I need more animatronics.
Well, I'm
I think
sorry.
part of it too is because like, a lot of the Chuck E. Cheeses, they were just reskinned from Showbiz Pizza.
Right.
So then, like, I guess you get the full band then for sure, and then,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe they do the movies I don't know. We had Major Magic when I was growing up, which is
What's Major Magic?
well, so there was Showbiz Pizza, and then there's Chuck E. Cheese, and then you
Mhm.
have your rip-offs of Chuck E. Cheese,
I've never heard of Major
including
Magic.
Aladdin's Pizza and Major Magic. Major
What is
Magic
Aladdin's
being the
Pizza?
most blatant of rip-offs, because it's just Chuck E. Cheese, except instead of a rat, it's a guy with a big mustache and a silly hat.
No way. I gotta look
Yeah.
up okay, I'm gonna look up
Google
Major
Major
Magic.
Magic. It's this is real shit. And I thought it was
Wow.
like a thing that was everywhere, but maybe it was just Michigan or parts of the Midwest, but it probably wasn't as big as I thought it was.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Leaps and Bounds.
Oh, Leaps and Bounds and Discovery Zone. Yeah, the 2
Yeah,
competing ones. And I always felt Leaps and Bounds was preferable.
it was way better. It was a lot better, but it was also, like, probably way more dangerous.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but a lot of stuff about Leaps and Bounds kinda got lost to time, which is really interesting. Major magic. All right, I'll have to look this up a little bit more, but I am peeking through the pages. Yeah, so like yeah, with that anyway, animatronics. So we had one big animatronic, but what was weird was I played Chucky, so I would
Mhm.
come out in a suit and, and first of all, I'm 4'11", and the other person who would play Chucky is 6'4", and you think the kids don't think that's weird and different? Like,
Yeah, I would imagine they
yeah.
would find that a little odd.
They asked me questions, they would be like, "Are you Chucky's younger brother? Are you Chucky's little cousin?" Like, little kids, 7, 8-year-olds, they'd be like, "You're not Chucky, like, who are you? Like, I think you're just, like, this miniature version of Chuck E. Cheese." Yeah, I was a little baby Chuck E. Cheese, and, like, but what was supposed to happen is the animatronic was supposed to be closed when
Mhm.
Chucky would come out. Because obviously Chucky
Yeah.
can't be in 2 places at
No,
once.
he is but one rat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so but it didn't always time out that way, so sometimes, like, the animatronic was out and I was out at the same time, and that was
Mm.
always, like, really awkward. Um, yeah, because we were wearing the same thing, so it's really embarrassing.
Who wore it
Anyway,
better?
yeah, exactly. I'm like but yeah, I have that Rockefeller explosion, like, documentary. One of my friends gave it to
Oh.
me for my birthday because she knows I was really obsessed with working at Chuck E. Cheese, and every once in a while, I would like one of the side jobs we do because I sometimes I would like sit up at the front and do the kid check with like those like stamps and whatever, and I get like so bored, and I'd be like, please just give me anything to do. I can't just sit here. This is so mind numbing. And they'd go, okay, go count tokens or like go put cups together or whatever, and I'm like, okay. And every once in a while, a Showbiz Pizza token would show up, and that was, like,
Oh,
very fun. It,
that's
like, felt like a
nice.
fun little, like, callback to the past.
Right?
Um, so anyway, obviously, Jeremy's date was made for me, and
Mhm.
I would have been loving every minute of it, especially if they had samples. Because when I was a kid, I lived for samples, and it looked like they did have some of those.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
yeah, but the family I mean, listen, maybe it was an underwhelming date, but also, like, the family was also underwhelmed, I would say. This was,
Yeah.
like, the toughest hometown Jen had, and it wasn't that tough,
Oh my
but it was
gosh,
just
it was
like
not on the toughness scale, this is like a
no,
2.
but
Is
that was the hardest one. It was obvious that they weren't feeling it at all, but they
Yeah.
weren't being mean about it. They were
No,
just
they're
kinda
just
like,
because it's weird, right?
This
It's
is
totally the
not
weirdest thing.
really I don't like it."
I
Yeah.
did this, and this was amazing, when his mom was just like when Jen was telling me, like, the kinda guy that she's looking for, and I was like,
Yes, I
"That's
had a
nice,
note about
but
that.
that's not Jeremy."
Yes, yeah, she goes, "Jeremy is not what Jen is looking for," and I was like, "Wow," like, I don't know if that means you're not really feeling Jen or you're just not afraid to throw your son under the bus, but
Mhm.
holy crap. Yeah, so there's always gonna be, like, a cautious, skeptical family, and this time it was Jeremy, and it was just kinda like the writing's on the wall, like,
Yeah.
Jen doesn't get really that welcoming of an
What
environment,
and
so
Jen, I feel like she gets juiced up by the producers real easily too. Because again, this
mhm,
is a 2 out of 10, like, just the softest of soft pushback,
yeah,
which if you have any degree of self-awareness, you should be able to say, "Yeah, I could see why you would think that." And immediately she's like, "I just don't know, and and maybe, and blah, 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 blah," like, just really getting into her own head. And it's like, "Jeremy, you were a dead man walking to begin with, so
yeah.
that's fine."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she does really want things to go well, even if she is going to be rejecting the
Mhm.
men,
Yeah.
and I get that because I was in my 20s before. I get it. You're like,
Sure.
"No, no, you. No, I did that first," whatever. Like, I get that feeling, whatever. So, um, but we get to okay, Jonathan's date, and this is the only date that I paid attention to.
Of
And,
course. "I
he's
wish
the
I was at
only
this date, Jonathan. I love
he's the
lacrosse,
only I don't love lacrosse, I would
but
not
I'd
love
love
that
it for
part.
you, Jonathan."
Listen, he's the only good man left, I am 100% convinced of
He
that,
really
because
is.
he's, like, a realist. I did not know that they both played lacrosse in college.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
know that
"That's
either.
adorable," and that's, like, kind of a rare sport for people to play, so
Yeah, he
that's
looks like an
cool.
athlete, and he's, like, San
Mhm.
Diego boy, so I'm like, "You had to play some, like, fancy pants sport probably."
Yeah,
But
but that they
yeah.
both played the same fancy pants sport, like, that's cute, that's
Mhm.
so cute, and then he's just kind of like he's just being very realistic, like, "Listen, this is where I'm at, I'm trying to get there, I like you a lot, but I just wanna, like, get to know you better,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "That's a green flag," and Jen's like, bit of a red flag," and I'm like, he's being so normal and he's saying normal human things and because you're on a TV show, you're just like, I don't know. I just want him to be completely obsessed with me and love bomb me." And it's like, that's not a good foundation.
Yep.
That's scary. You're in danger.
Yeah.
So the word of the day for Jonathan is clarity.
Wow, the
And
word of every
yeah,
day for every contestant on this show is
but he
clarity.
claimed it as his word was clarity, and I think his family was super cute. I think he had the cutest family out of all the families, and, wait, was it his sister-in-law, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, who, like, um, fell in love on the 3rd date, and they've been married for, like, 7 years. So, it's, like, tailor-made for her
Oh, yeah.
because 'cause they're like, "Well, we've seen wilder things happen, so and
Totally.
we're totally on board," and they were just like, "Oh my gosh." Jonathan's mom is the best. I really, really liked her. She's, like, cautious, but she's open-minded,
Yeah.
and her hang up is not Jen, it's Jonathan. She's like, "John, sometimes you gotta just jump. I don't know what to tell you. You just sometimes you just have to. Cause what if? What
Mhm.
if? You know, what if this is like the big moment in your life and you're too scared to do it?" And I was like, "Holy cow." Like she
Yeah.
was like
Pushing
on
it.
board.
Yeah.
She's totally like she's like she's in for the journey. She is in for the journey. And
Meanwhile, I'm over here
yeah.
respecting his restraint because, again,
Yeah.
this whole situation is ridiculous, so good on him. But yeah,
It's totally ridiculous, but, like, I thought his family was obviously, they're not trying to hold him back, and I think they
mhm.
also know, like, if something bad were to happen, he's clearly, like, I don't know, well-adjusted,
Yeah.
resilient enough, and has a strong support
And the
system.
family
He'll be
acceptance thing means a lot to Jen. So
yeah.
the fact that she can literally look at his brother and be like, "Oh, like, you did something that's even dumber than TV show dating." Like, that's amazing.
More
More
rushed, we'll say.
rushed.
They've been together for a while, I think they did
Yeah,
okay.
they did okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, it just depends on when you say it, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
When I
guess
met
when I
Chuck, I
say
was
that, I
like,
mean, like,
"We're gonna get married."
if you were to create a road path
Yeah.
for, like, a lifelong of happiness and marriage, you probably wouldn't start with 3 dates and then get hitched, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's fast, yeah. Even though I knew, I still waited. So
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it was just, like, super yeah, super great and, like, where's I had notes about his sister. Oh, yeah. His sister is so sweet too. She's like,
Mhm.
"You've gotta play big to win big, okay? You just need" and they're all just like, "Come on, just do it.
Just do
Just do it."
it.
Yeah. What are you, chicken? Just do it. But it's like it's kind of obvious to me with all of this stuff,
Mhm.
that the way Jen is talking about Jonathan is not the same way she's talking about like Devin. It's pretty obvious by this because it's like you've got a whole family that's like rooting for you, and you're still like, yeah, I just don't know.
But
I'm just
I
not
love
sure.
Devin the most.
Yeah, it's just like okay. Um, and then, yeah, his mom was like she's like, "John's gotta let down his guard. And at some point, you have to trust, but you'll never know if you don't put it out there." So they go to the backyard, and Jonathan said, "They love you," which is pretty obvious. Like his family was just like,
Yeah.
"Jen's the best. We think she's great." And he goes, "And I love so much about you." And that's about what I'm gonna say right now. And I was like, he's getting there, give him time, Jen, don't push him. And then he's like, "I'm falling for you." And then she was just kinda like, "Thank you." So that's not great.
No, not the
Sorry, Jonathan.
best.
We'll see how that pans out, but I don't think it's gonna be good.
No.
Um, but yeah, so now we're in Tacoma, Washington, and I had to Google some things because I was like, "I thought Marcus was from Minnesota. I
Mhm.
thought we were going to Minnesota." And his on his bio, it says his hometown is Minnesota,
Mhm.
but they're in Tacoma, Washington.
'Cause that's just where his family and fr okay, and
Lives now? I
I
don't
have
know.
I have so many questions about this.
Mhm.
Once again, I'm trying to call me a bachelor traditionalist. There's a structure here. The activity, the family.
Yeah.
What is his
Mhm.
activity? There is no activity. His activity is, "Here's my family."
Yeah.
The what are we doing?
Mhm.
What are we doing? It's so weird.
I
And
don't
then
have
the whole
any
time
notes
he's
for
just
Marcus,
like,
really.
what if she likes me more than I like her? I'm a baby. I packed an American flag in my suitcase because I'm weird."
You
Also,
know,
there's a crudely painted, like, miniature picture of Tupac on the wall. Did you see that?
no, I missed that. I did not see that.
There's like this, it was this whole, I think it was supposed to be
Ugh.
this way on purpose, but it was like this collage of small, like, 4 by 4, like, paintings, or maybe like 8 by, I don't know, small, like this big, whatever, like, this big, he says on the podcast to the people listening. Uh,
Well, you can look
you can
too.
look too, yeah, maybe you're watching this
Go
on
to
YouTube.
YouTube or
Anyways,
whatever.
small, right? These small little fucking paintings, and there was just like 100 of them, and they were all of
Mhm.
celebrities, but they were all like the worst painted things I've ever seen. And there's a prominently featured Tupac.
I did not notice that. I think because, like I said, I only paid attention to one day.
Yeah.
Because I was like, "I don't care about anybody else, it doesn't matter to me. Do good, do bad, whatever, I'll be upset if you do good."
Yeah.
Um, but the notes that I have are that I think it's very obvious that Marcus and Devin are at the top for
Mhm.
Jen.
Yeah.
Like, way at the top, and I think Devin is probably at the tippy top and Marcus is second. That's would be my assumption. Um, Jen gets so emotional. Like, this is the most emotional she gets on any date. She's,
Mhm.
like, really, like, everybody's crying. Um, I don't know, and, yeah, and Marcus and his sister have, like, such a tight bond, and, you know, Jen really likes Marcus's family. When Marcus talks to his sister, he said, "I'm opening up the best I'm able to,"
Mhm.
and she's also very encouraging, and, um, yeah, I don't have many other notes outside of that, except he does say falling for you.
Mhm.
So he also doesn't go as far as Devin does.
No,
So
and
Devin
it's a
says
bit
the
of an arm
most.
twist for him. He's like,
Yeah.
"Ah, I gotta do this because otherwise I'm in
If I
trouble."
don't say it's weird, that's also become like a rule over time. It's like
Mhm.
if you don't say falling for you by the hometown date, you
Yeah.
are not guaranteed a rose by
Mhm.
any means.
Nope.
But if you're the only one who didn't say falling for you, like, then yeah, you're out.
Mhm.
You're out. So it's like a game theory thing, I don't know, where it's like you get to split the money or you take it all for yourself. It's like if everyone says falling for you, then your chances just drop,
Mhm. Mhm.
but if one person doesn't say falling for you and you do, then you're going through. Smooth sailing. Um, Despite how realistic it might be to not say that and how that might be quite the green flag to not say that.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway,
Now we're gonna
uh
get a beer with the boys.
yeah, this is weird. Where are they?
I don't
I
know where they are.
again rewound this because I was like, oh, first of all, another thing to say to my parents
Mhm.
who are watching and listening. I was so desperate. So we share a Hulu account. Hulu, let me keep sharing the account. Be nice, be cool. Okay. Um
Just outed yourself as a Hulu sharer. You're in trouble.
Hulu, sponsor us. And then you don't have to worry about it. Because we're on family plans,
Mhm.
okay? Because this episode is all about family, and we're all about
All about
family
the family.
and sharing streaming experiences together as a family.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know why I'm starting
maybe
to
I
do the
share a Hulu account with my chosen family on one
yeah,
TV, and maybe I just have my ex-girlfriend's account logged in on my other one because it never got logged out, and she never said anything, and
still.
I feel like I get to keep it unless she says otherwise.
Well, hey, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not
Dang
gonna
it.
snitch.
Don't, yeah,
Mm.
don't tell her.
But yeah, anyway, family is important. I was like, what was his name? Tim Calhoun. I was doing
Oh.
the Tim Calhoun hands. Will Forte's character, remember? He would just like do the anyway, so I was so desperate. My parents like added Hulu to like a device or something, and then they were
Mhm.
like asked to reset their password.
Ooh.
So I logged in and I'm like, I can't log in. I'm locked out. I'm locked out of Hulu.
My parents don't love me anymore.
Oh, this is it's the ultimate betrayal. And they've got access to other thing I'm not gonna say it more I'm not gonna incriminate myself more. And I was like, "This is awful." And so I I had to resort to buying Hulu to watch
Wow.
this episode.
Wow.
But pro tip, if you're a student, you can get Hulu for $2 a month.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
With ads though. You
Mm,
can't you can't pay for a student like level without ads. That's how they get you.
that's how they get you.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're like, "Listen, you're a student, you need more of a break, so why don't we give you an ad break too?" But yeah, it's $2 if you belong to if you're a student at a university and you want Hulu for cheap, you can pay $2 and you can get it with ads. And honestly, the ads aren't even that bad.
Hmm,
For 17.99, you have to get it without ads. 17.99. That's ridiculous. That's heinous.
that's pretty
It's so expensive. It
that's
used to be
really expensive.
$11. Inflation on a streaming service. Come on, let's get
Unbelievable.
real.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, so, yeah, so I bought it and then I, like, talked to my parents, and by the way, I won't out their password on here, but
Mhm.
their password hygiene practices are not good. Their updated password is very similar to their ol and I'm like, "Your daughter writes about cybersecurity for a job, and you're telling me that's your password?" I am so
They're
embarrassed.
yeah, they went from "I love Sammy" to "I love Sammy 1."
Essentially. So I was like, "Oh, that's what it was?" And they were like, "Yeah, so just put that in, work like a charm." But yeah, I bought $2 Hulu with ads just to watch this one episode. That's how dedicated I am to
My
doing the show on
god.
time. Okay, everybody, just so you know.
Respect.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't catch it live this week, so that's what I had to do. But yeah, so Marcus feels behind. Oh, yeah, and yeah, they're at a pub in an undisclosed city, and I was so confused about it. Like, I was like, "What city is this?" They do not mention it. I
I
did
think
rewind
they're
to
just filling
see.
time, and
Like,
then
are they back in Seattle? Like, did they go to all these places and then come back to Seattle? That's the only thing I can
I
figure.
thought they were, like, at the mansion again, it seemed like, 'cause that's where the rose ceremony is, so I assume they're in, like, Malibu at
Oh.
some bar, presumably?
Maybe. I mean, that would make sense because 'cause they're going to Hawaii next, so it would make sense. I mean, they're obviously somewhere on the West Coast,
Yeah,
right?
and I think
Yeah.
the only purpose to serve because it's weird in the grand scheme of
Mhm.
The Bachelor and The Bachelorette because you don't get this, like, this is not like, you can have a thing where they're all sitting around in a boring living room on a couch having a conversation, but you never get, like, the beers with the boys stuff,
Yeah, it was,
and
like, out in the wild. I
the
was
the
like, "What's
whole
going
purpose was
on?"
just to drive home that Marcus isn't as excited as everybody else, which we already knew, so,
Yeah, and Jeremy
mm.
is like, "I feel pretty confident," and you're like, "No, don't be. Don't feel confident. It's not gonna go well for you, buddy." But yeah, so Marcus feels behind, not enough because he gets the rose. And next week we get Hawaii
Mhm.
and we get the men tell all.
Hawaii, "It's the best place to fall in love." That's what Jen tells me.
Okay, well, good for you, Jen. Um,
I mean, it's
this
definitely a
looks
place where you can, I
it's a place where people do all kinds of things.
yeah.
Yeah,
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 you could get
yeah,
tackled by
like any
Dog the
place.
Bounty Hunter too. Anything could happen in
Sure.
Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so so Marcus is not there yet. That's the
No.
preview we get for next. And yeah, they just all seem indecisive. They're basically like next week all the men have no idea what they're doing and Jen loses it. And that's the preview we get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna go with here's what happens.
Okay.
Um, Marcus comes clean, goes home. He's not there. He can't get there. Doesn't wanna put a ring on it, whatever. He's done. And then Devin is gonna have some sort of meltdown about his, "Well, I love you" thing. "Well, you gotta say I love you to everybody else. I'm a baby and a rapper." And and then she's just gonna end up picking Devin anyways. Like, that's like, I don't see a
Yeah.
world where that doesn't happen. It just all seems very straightforward to me.
Yeah. It's too bad. Yeah. But it is what it is.
Mhm. I mean, do you
Wait,
see
what did
anything else happening?
we're gonna keep the main thing, as Sam would say.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't see anything else. By the way, we might have reposted this on our TikTok. I don't know.
Ooh.
But Jonathan's TikTok is a treat. I just kind of ran into it on accident.
Mhm.
And he did this whole thing where he's like wearing all of the different outfits he had to wear every week
Oh
and
god.
doing like a little skit with it. It's very cute. and very funny. And so, all the guys should get personalities and do fun stuff like that. I don't tend to see a lot of I feel like last year I saw Maria because I like sought her out, and I saw like Daisy's stuff. But I didn't really like see anybody else's. But anyway, I thought his were very funny.
Mhm.
So honorable mention to that. But apparently Jen doesn't want someone who is well adjusted.
No.
She wants someone who's not sure. So we'll see. Maybe everything will change. Maybe everything will change next week, and
Yeah.
our eyes will be opened,
Eyes will be
and
open.
this conspiracy theorist will be like, "Oh wow, I don't even care. I don't even care that he's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Maybe
I just
she's
think
the
he's great."
same. What's his
She
conspiracy of
could be.
choice, by the way? Do you know?
Oh, I thought you knew.
No, I didn't know.
Oh,
I knew about the
okay.
rapping stuff. I didn't know he was a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, I thought I sent that to you. Okay. So, this was on Reality Steve, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. He might not be a conspiracy theorist,
Okay.
but like he very well could be. But basically they did like that truth or dare game at the beginning.
Mhm.
Sorry, I was like talking to you like you knew this. They were doing this truth or dare game at the beginning, and then it was like, uh, tell us what conspiracy theory do you believe?
Mhm.
Or like, do you think is convincing or something like that? And he said that he's a 9/11 truther.
That's so funny.
It's so bad. And
What?
I mean, that's the funny thing, because that's why I said the
Yeah.
Pete Davidson comparisons stop here
Yeah.
because of his
His
dad,
dad,
Pete
yeah.
Davidson's dad.
Yeah.
So that's why I had said that, and I thought in that article it mentioned something like that I
No,
sent you, but
okay,
maybe it didn't.
so okay, well, that's like a fun if you're gonna do conspiracy theory, like, just bring it back a little bit, go back in time a little bit. That's or maybe he's like a JFK grassy knoll guy too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think that that would be half bad.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like that's a more accepted. Well, so I in high school I did a whole class on conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
Well, not a whole class. It was a segment of a class in contemporary America, all about conspiracy theories. I don't remember if I talked about that on the podcast before, but basically, I was like, I went to my guidance counselor and I was like, I want to do the most electives possible, and I don't want to take another history class that's just memorization.
Mhm.
So, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
He was also friends with my mom, so that so I was like, "What how can you put me in these classes?" And basically, based on the things that I wanted to make sure I did, he's like, "Well, we could put you in this class called Contemporary America." And it's like uh not yeah, it's not like history, but it can fulfill that requirement. And it was
Mhm.
basically like a class that covered the last 100 years. And the only unit I remember with perfect clarity was our conspiracy theories segment. And basically, it started with him showing us a video about how the moon landing was fake.
Oh, that's a fun one too.
And we were like, "Oh my god." And so like we get to the end of this video and he's like, "What do you think?" And we're like, "Oh my god, it's fake. We've been lied to all this time." We were all like, "Holy shit." And
Jet
then
fuel can't melt steel beams either.
and he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, "Now I'm gonna show you a second video," which he did in the same class, because if he
Yeah.
did it in two separate classes, like, it would be dangerous. So then he showed us a second video, and the second video was like, here's a debunking of all the things that people who say like the moon landing is fake, like,
Yeah.
like, oh, they just like slowed down the running to half speed. It's like, no, it doesn't. You don't get the same height, the same buoyancy. It doesn't
Mhm.
look like that if you just slow it down. Or, something about like shadows, and they're like, shadows can bend like that anytime they hit a bump.
Yeah.
That's not saying that there were two light sources. That can happen with one light source.
Mhm.
And we were like, "Oh." And then he's like, "So now what do you think?" And we're like, "That it was real." And and he's like, "Exactly." But that's how conspiracy theories start. You get too much
Yeah.
information from one side and you don't have enough information to refute it, and like that's where a conspiracy theory is born. And I thought that that was so interesting, and then we all had to pick conspiracy theories to like present in
Oh,
class.
so, like, you're like,
Yeah.
"I chose flat earthers."
Yeah, I think I picked now I'm trying to remember. Hold on, there was like a conspiracy
I like how there's
theory.
layers of flat earthers too, like, some are just like,
Yeah.
the earth is flat, some are like, the earth is flat, but it's also on top of a turtle, which I like that a lot.
I think the one I picked was about, FDR and, like, Pearl Harbor, that they, like, knew about Pearl Harbor ahead of time. I think that was the
Oh,
one that I had picked. It's, like, pretty easily disprovable,
yeah.
I mean, they all were. All the ones that we picked were, like, disprovable. But yeah, it was such a fascinating class, and, like, we also talked about, like, backmasking, like, playing records backwards,
Oh,
and there's,
yeah.
like, demonic messages on it and stuff like that. It was I was like, "See, this is what history classes should all be because history is endlessly fascinating,
Mhm,
but they make you be for standardized test reasons, like, memorize all these dates, and it feels so sterile." And it was, like, the one of the best classes I ever took in high school.
mhm,
And, yeah, it was so good. So shout out to my contemporary America teacher from high school. But yeah, it's like yeah, it's a little it's jury's still out, but yeah, not great, not great. Maybe better than,
mhm.
Sandy Hook crisis actors,
Yeah,
but
I think that's
not
the worst
great.
one. Like, when
That
you
is
have one
the
that's
worst one.
I feel like conspiracy theories are they really run the gamut between, like, "This is a dumb thing that you believe, and it's just fun
Yeah,
for me," to, like,
yeah.
"This actually can cause legitimate harm to other human beings," and that's not good.
Yeah, and I think some of it does have to do with how far away it is from the thing, but it's
Mhm.
also like if you believe certain things, it can make you, yeah, less empathetic or it can make you like accept certain things,
Yeah,
that happen, instead of trying to like stop them or change them. You're just like, "Oh, well, if it's not real, then there's no urgency there and there's nothing for me to like care about."
yeah.
Um there were one of the most, like, mundane ones that I remember someone covered was, like, that the stickers on the back of street signs, like, meant something about, like, some
What?
secret society or like, secret world or
Huh.
something like that. That was kind of an interesting one. Obviously, someone did chemtrails because 'cause you're
Gotta
not
love
gonna
the
do
chem that's a
conspiracy
classic. We love our
theory, with
chemtrails.
that chemtrails. I can't remember some of the other ones, but, it's like one of my favorite books that I've, like, ever read was called Them. It was a John Ronson book called
Mhm.
Them. I don't know if you've ever read
I
that
haven't read
one.
it.
This was, like, the early years of Alex Jones,
Ooh,
and
okay.
he, like, interviewed him. Like, I mean, John Ronson gets himself into, like, weird predicaments.
Mhm.
It's like that's kind of a conversation about how, like, a lot of these conspiracies get into, like racist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic territory, and
Mhm.
you're like, "Whoa!" I just thought it was like a funny, silly little thing, like South Park's crab people, and then you're like, "Wait a minute, like that's like lizard people is anti-Semitic, and that's really messed up," and then you
Mhm.
get it. I don't know if you knew. You're looking
I
at me
didn't
like
know
I
that.
didn't know
I
that.
just think about
Yeah.
the show, V, where they, like, have that little space alien lizard people underneath the do you remember that show?
Oh no, I never saw
Yeah, it's
that
from, like, the
show.
'80s, like a sci-fi show, but, like, these
Wow.
yeah, it's like these alien invaders that pretend to be human, but they're actually, like, little lizard alien people.
Huh. I'm sure that also probably has those roots, but I don't know how far back that goes. But I just know the recent stuff is all like, they'll be like the Illuminati reptilians. It
Mm.
veers into that territory so fast.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
just like, what happened?
Yeah.
I thought we were just talking silly
Which is
little
too
funny
bad because
talk.
it's so much fun. Like, that
Yeah.
was my favorite thing when I was a kid is I would stay up late and I had a little, like, AM radio, and I would listen
Hmm.
to Coast AM with George
Uh-huh.
Norrie, which have you ever heard that before? It's like
I don't think
it
so.
is the best show, but, like, all these people would just call in or he would have, like, interviews with people, and they would just talk about the craziest stuff I had ever heard in my entire life, but they would just say it with a straight face, and, like, on the call-in shows, people would be like, "Yeah, so I got Bigfoot in my basement. I saw him and I hit him with a club and I
Oh,
just put him there." And then George Norrie wouldn't be like, "What?" He'd be like, "Okay, yeah, like he would just talk to him
yeah.
like it was just like a normal thing, like they were discussing the weather. The best,
Whoa.
the best. I love that stuff. They have other guys come on and be like, "Yeah, so, during the American Revolution, there was actually, giants and they were 12 feet tall," and it's like, "What?" Yeah, stuff
Whoa.
like that, which also I found out later that's kinda like a weird, like, anti-Semitic racist thing too.
Yeah,
I
there's,
see
like I mean, it's like all that stuff has, like but it's like that's what they do. I've got a book about QAnon, like, sitting right next to me right now, which is just really funny. But they have, like, these groups have, like, these kind of things that
Mhm.
it all works on, like, levels and layers, So it's like, um like with QAnon stuff, that it'll be like, "Oh, this toy seems a little untoward, don't you think?" Instead of just like, "Hmm, an unfortunate toy design." That happens all the time
Mhm.
where like a button is in a weird place and you're like, how did this get through multiple rounds? I don't know, but weird stuff gets screwed up every day. It's like, oh, this is tied to some trafficking ring or whatever, and
Mhm.
Wayfarer is in on it, and blah blah blah. And then you're like, well, yeah, that does seem weird. Why is it like a kid's name and it's like this much money?
Yeah.
And then that's what gets people like interested because they're like, oh, I feel like I've uncovered something. And we all like to like solve mysteries and
Oh, that's
solve
everybody
problems and
wants everything
uncover
to be a
deeper.
mystery. They do this
Yeah,
with, like,
people
TV
wanna, like,
shows and
decode
movies.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the
It's like
time.
we all wanna seek deeper meaning in the world, and the funny thing is, like, there's, like, really easy ways to, like, seek deeper meaning in
Mhm.
the world, like, there's deeper meaning to be found everywhere, and it's not like a conspiracy, and it can be, like, right in front of your face, but it's more interesting when you feel like you know something that nobody else knows, right? Like, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? This is like so bad. I feel like such a bad fan right now.
Oh, wow, the worst fan?
Yeah, John Oliver. Oh my god. John Oliver did a great episode about conspiracy theories as well. That was
Mhm.
like completely fascinating. But it's like, yeah, you get in with these things that seem kind of like recreational and kind of fun, and then you're in, and then it's not like, what do they say, like, how do you boil a frog, right? Like, how do you kill a frog? You can't just, like, if you put it in boiling water, it's just gonna jump right out. You gotta, like, you know, increase the temperature slowly to, like, cook a frog or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, not like I spend a lot of time cooking frogs, but, if you do, that's fine. But I just don't. And, yeah, so I think about that kind of stuff all the time because it's like, even if we think it's kinda, like, silly goofy,
Mhm.
um, that someone believes that stuff. I didn't mean to get so, like, serious and heavy, but, it's like there's a lot of, like, dangerous stuff behind that,
Yeah.
can be really harmful, and I mean, there is a whole group of people right now trying to, like, undermine everything who believe these kinds of things. So that's all I'm gonna
Yeah.
say about that. But in that being said, what cryptid do you think is real? Because that I think is fun for the most part.
Oh my
I'm sure that there's
gosh.
some weird cryptids that are, like, not okay, but I do
Yeah.
think most cryptid stuff seems to be pretty harmless,
I
I
love them
think.
all, they're so fun,
Yeah.
like, Chupacabra's fun to me because he's just, like, a little guy that, like, he's like, "I'm gonna slurp your goats," and
He just
then
he just loves goats.
Mothman, he seems cool.
A lot of my friends really love
Yeah, I think
Mothman.
Mothman is, like, the most, like, fuckable. I think, like, a lot of people really want to get it on with the Mothman, which you would think, like, Bigfoot. I mean,
Yeah.
he's Bigfoot, like, what he's
You
not
know what?
he's
Yeah,
he's not just
sure.
Bigfoot, if you know. So, but, like, you'd think that would be their guy, but Mothman
Yeah.
is, like, there's some allure with Mothman.
Well, I think it's because, like, Mothman forms. I think
Mhm.
there's something to be said about the formation of Mothman
Yeah.
and not just that, like, it's an always present entity. I think
Mhm.
there's something, and people like, I think, the, like, vibratory sense of Mothman. I think
Mhm.
there is something very alluring about that. But I mean, I will say that I there is a very special place in my heart for the Hodag, and I think you know that.
Mhm. Oh, I know you're a real
Yeah.
hodag lady, yeah.
I desperately want the Hodag to be real. That picture is the saddest, weirdest picture. Like, that I think we can totally rule out there's no weird, harmful anything at the bottom of that because they literally were like, "We're gonna put weird horns on a bulldog, and we're gonna tell everyone that
Yeah.
this is a cryptid," and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
"Are you sure?
Yeah,
That's just a dog,
I
a
know, it's like
taxidermy
you
dog."
basically just, like you made a jackalope, and that's like, come on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, jackalopes are really cool, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so I wanted to end on a light note, so I'm
Yeah,
not just like
jackalopes.
the fun, harmless things you think are very bad, No,
Yeah.
don't feel bad.
No,
Don't feel bad.
if you see
You can like
Mothman and you
me.
wanna kiss him, you kiss him.
I have a Mothman soap that one of my friends made, and that'll be the next soap I use in honor of this conversation. I bought like 13 of their soaps because
Wow.
I just think they're really great, and I'm still working my way through them. And yeah, the Mothman one's great because it's got like two big red circles. It's like a really it's. But I think that's perfect. Spooky season's almost here. That'll be the next one that I
Mhm.
that I use. Right now, I'm using "They're All Gonna Laugh at You," which is a Carrie themed soap.
Oh, that's nice. Just blood
So
red?
just yeah, well, no, it's actually more like prom-y, like, it's, like,
Oh,
kinda sparkly, and it's, like, the color of that pink dress
okay.
that she had, yeah, so, anyway, love Carrie, anyway, so I thought this week I was gonna have a Jilly Box to share with all of you, and I am sorry to report that the Canadian Post lied to me,
Mm, mm.
but,
Betrayed by the Mounties.
I thought we weren't gonna have a lot to talk about, and then I just started going off about,
Yeah, and then we gotta talk about
all that stuff happened.
cryptids.
Yeah. But hopefully by next week it'll be here and we'll do a Jilly unboxing, and that might be fun to do during like the Men Tell All anyway, because
Mhm.
if there's not a lot of drama, I mean, I feel like there'll be some drama. Oh, also I had one more thing to talk about. And
Yes.
that's what I DM'd you when I got
Oh my
you get
god.
bots like following you on TikTok and stuff like, and it's usually like they just pick like a random like handsome person or good
Yeah.
looking person and just to, try to sell you something or whatever. And I got this follow and I could tell it was a fake account. I mean, it was like very obviously a fake account, but then I look at it and I'm like, that's Aaron. That's Aaron from The Bachelorette. That's Noah's brother Aaron. I don't see who else that would be. It's the spitting image of him. And so I sent that to Steven. I was like, look at who followed me on TikTok. Fake Aaron.
I was like, "What?" Like, they actually, because at first you were I thought it was just like just a whatever that, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
here's this guy that kinda looks like," I'm like, "No, that's definitely him. They
That's
definitely
definitely
just
his
stole his
pictures.
pictures." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And I don't really post a lot about, like, The Bachelor, Bachelorette, anything like that on my TikTok, so I don't think it was, like an algorithm thing, like a hashtag thing. It was just, like, random,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, this is weird. I have to bring this up on the podcast." So anyway, that's kind of a fun note. So if any other bots who are pretending to be Bachelorette contestants wanna follow me, you go on ahead. I will
Do it.
spot you in a second.
You do it.
I'm onto your
Yeah,
trickery.
we're
You
on a
can't sell
podcast, we
me
know
any of
things.
your things. Yeah. But anyway, until then, friends, it's really going to be hot by us, so just stay cool. We're hitting those dog days of summer. So just stay cool, stay hydrated, wear breathable clothing.
Don't do needle drugs, even if the Mothman says it's okay, because it's not, and he wouldn't say that anyways. That's how you know it's not the Mothman,
I feel like the Mothman sometimes does convince people to do not great things. Am I wrong?
but not needle drugs.
That's where he draws the line.
Exactly. That's his line in the sand.
Got it. Mothman says, "Say no to drugs." That'd be a good
That would
campaign.
be a good campaign. I'd support that
Yeah,
campaign.
yeah.